Hey Flexers! I wanted to take a few minutes today to chat through the new functionality that we have in Flex around allowing patients to enter their credit card information securely when they're booking appointments through FlexSchedule. So, as a result of a highly requested feature from our users, we have implemented the ability to decide when patients who are using online scheduling should be able to provide their credit card information to secure their appointment time. Now, this feature is available to any of our users who are on version 5.13 or above. And then you also need to be using FlexPay and FlexSchedule to be able to see the functionality. Now, a big reason for this feature coming about and the largest benefit that you gain is basically being able to gain more security from your patients as they're booking their appointments. So one thing that we've heard from our users is that sometimes patients who book online are less reliable in keeping their appointment times, and it could be because they didn't speak with a member of the office to go ahead and book their appointment. So now what we've allowed them to do is either use a hold or a deposit, and I'll talk through the differences in a moment. But we're gaining some more commitment to the patient in the appointment because they've already provided you that credit card information. They know that there's some skin in the game on their part too, and our hope there is that it allows them to be a bit more committed to their appointment. So if we look at the settings and the functionality that you'll see, the first thing I want to note is you do need to be logged in as an administrative user so that you can access the settings tab. We'll come into our settings, we'll go over to Flex Schedule, and you'll see this new credit cards button. Now, just as a reminder, that button will only be available if you're using Flex Schedule and Flex Pay, and you are on version 5.13 and above. Once we click on the credit cards button, you're going to see two options here. So the first option is for a hold. What a hold is going to do is get the credit card information from the patient, securely store it on file the way that it is in the rest of Flex. If you're using the cards being stored on the patient's profile, this will go in the same place, and I'll show you that as well. But the hold is not charging the patient. So all we're doing here is gaining the credit card information, tokenizing it securely, and storing it to their profile, but we're not charging the patient. Now, the reservation deposit is the same as the hold in that we're going to gain the information about the credit card from the patient, and then we're going to take it one step further and actually charge them the amount that you designate. Now, a couple details here. These can be toggled on and off. So if you want to just use the hold, you can do that. You don't have to use both of them. You can use one or the other. We do give you some default text, which is the patient-facing text here. So the text can be modified based on your preferences. One thing to call out in our default text, we have included the note that there's going to be a cancellation fee. A lot of our practices have a different cancellation fee. 25 may be standard, but perhaps yours is different. So you can go ahead and take the opportunity to change that. This default text can be changed however you deem appropriate. And then we also have a drop-down box for your appointment types. So I've just got one appointment type in my Flex schedule set up, but you've likely got more than one, and you can determine which appointment types would be appropriate for a hold. Now, with the reservation deposit, we can toggle that on. Same general principle here. You've got a text box that is patient facing that you can modify. You've got a drop down list of your appointment types. And then the extra field that you have here is the deposit amount. So this field is going to decide what we actually charge the patient as they're going through their booking process. So if we look now at the actual scheduling, we'll go back to my initial page here. We'll say we're a new patient. We're going to book our new patient appointment. Maybe we do want that appointment on the 13th at 8 a.m. And you'll see this new section that's added in. So I'll go ahead and add in some details here. They will walk through the standard flex schedule process as they typically would. If you don't have that hold or deposit enabled, nothing about the flex schedule process will change. Now we do have a hold enabled on this appointment type, so we can see the text in the patient facing box that we can edit here. Our card number is also going to be entered in. And you can use this functionality with any of our merchants. So if you're using Moolah or Card Connect or Apex, any of the merchants that you're using through FlexSchedule, you can have access to this functionality. Now this box here at the bottom with the I understand checkbox and this text field, this is not able to be edited by the practice. This keeps you in compliance with your merchant services company, just making sure that the patient knows that their card is being stored on file. The patient will need to click that I understand box to proceed. And then when we hit schedule appointment, we're still going to get our verification code and we'll confirm. And then our appointment will be booked. So if we look at Open Dental at this point, I'll show you here the appointment is booked successfully. Now there's no charge in the patient's profile because we are using only the hold. So if we look back at our patient's profile in Flex, we can go into our Manage Card section, and then the card that we added is going to be here. So you'll get the last 4 digits, the expiration date, and then also the name on the card. All of that information will be present for you. If you click the View Logs button, you can see how that card was stored. So in my situation here, it was stored by online pay, which is what you'll see when it's stored through the FlexSchedule functionality. And we'll always let you know the last 4 digits of the card here as well. Now, if we go ahead and we say, actually, we'd like to implement a reservation deposit with our appointment. So let's turn off our hold and we'll turn on our deposit. We'll keep it at $25. And we'll go back to our initial scheduling here. One thing to note when you are modifying your appointments, you'll want to make sure that you always have your appointment type selected. So we'll go ahead and turn on my new patient appointment for our deposit. And we'll come back to our scheduling here. And then we can see the deposit amount field is added here. So we'll do the same thing. We'll get some details. Let's just put in another dummy patient here. And we'll put in our card information. And all of our details, and then we'll click I understand. So just to note, the only thing that changed patient facing when we put the deposit there is that we have the text box from the reservation deposit field in the settings. We'll let them know the amount of the deposit that's going to be charged to their card, but they still have the I understand checkbox and they still get the information that the appointment is being booked by securely storing their card on file. And we'll schedule our appointment. So now if we look at Open Dental, go to tomorrow. So John Stevens is that second patient that we booked. We'll go into our account and we can see that our payment is taken here. Now I'm on my test database, so I don't have access to be able to see what those details are. When you run this card through and you're on your production database, you're going to see the last 4 digits there, as well as the payment token that's here. A few details to note. This is going in as a check for me just because that's what I have in my FlexPay settings. So if you have it set as a credit card or whatever payment type you have in your settings, this will continue to follow all of the normal FlexPay workflow that you have set up. It will always go in as an unallocated payment and it will default to the provider that you have set in your FlexPay settings. So when the practice either completes an appointment with procedure codes or adds an adjustment, or even if you refund the initial deposit, maybe the patient doesn't have a balance, that will always go in as unallocated initially. And if we look at our patient in Flex, we can see that they also have a card that's stored on file for them. And then again, here you're going to get in the logs the details of the card. So all of that information will be stored for you and you can see where those credit cards came from and you can use that card on file for a future in-office transaction. You can also link that card to a payment plan if you'd like. It has the same functionality for all of your normal credit cards. Now, the benefits of using the hold versus a deposit, just to chat through what some of our offices will think through when they're doing this, if you'd like some framework. So, a hold is going to be ideal for when you want a bit of commitment from the patient, but you don't want to put too much of a roadblock in the scheduling for them. So, maybe you don't want to charge them, you would just like to store their credit card information on file, and then you intend to charge them only if they cancel. A hold would be ideal there. A lot of practices are going to use that for new patient appointment types. Now, the reservation deposit is going to be helpful if you want to make sure that that patient is really committed to coming to their visit. Maybe it's something where, it's a cosmetic appointment. Maybe you do Botox or whitening and you know the patient's going to have a balance. This is a great opportunity to use the reservation deposit because you know that they're going to need to pay something for their visit. But ultimately, you always get the option to decide when you want to use it. You can select your appointment types. You can also decide just to keep it off completely. Maybe you don't want to use it, or maybe you turn it on and give it a try and see how it works for your practice. The functionality is there for you, and we always want to build tools that work well for what you need in your practice. So if you have any questions, you've always got access to our support team. And just a little plug for them here. They live in this little chat bubble on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. We have an awesome help center, and we do already have access to these documents on the FlexSchedule hold and deposit in the help center. So if we type FlexSchedule here, that first document that comes up is actually linked to our help center. So you can have all of this information in a text format there as well. And then if you want to ever chat with our team, you can always hit that live chat button. The chat, in my opinion, is the easiest way to get a hold of us. They'll always respond instantly, and you are chatting with an actual human. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the new functionality and can't wait to hear what you think.